act up like this. Never! You're going to suffer! Fault. It's all your fault!
with that, we bid farewell to
I
Shimizu
suspected this would
Hinako.
happen.
This is literally
What
her
you are doing is
metaphorically and
incredibly
literally
rude.
killing off her
But
childhood
then,
self.
you should already know that by
This
now.
is her killing off the child part of her that wants to
Kill
hold
her.
on to Ibisagoka. Literally, it's what she has to do.
Kill
It's
her.
metaphorical,
Do it.
but
Come on.
This is for your own good. Now die.
and with that, like, if you were to think of her in a literal sense, she is Shimizu Hinako. Not Hinako, not Kotoyuki Hinako. Or Kotoyuki might be his first name, so Tsunari Hinako. You know what I mean? Like, if you look through the, not this. No, not that. I hate that this is buried. Like, it's not a direction on the pad like everything else. Like, look at that. Left and right on the D-pad don't do anything. So why wouldn't they just make left and right like those, like the collectibles and the map? Like, there's a map button. There's an instant journal button. There's an instant map button. And there's an instant item button. But not an instant collectibles menu button? Like, why can't I map that? That'd be cool if I could map that. The hell is item shortcut? Oh, yeah. Nope. No collectibles button. That's unfortunate. Anyway.
Oh my. She truly is a vision.
So what we're talking about is a full-scale immolation. Like, so first, I think we've effectively killed off Foggy Ibisagoka, because that's where Shimizu Hinako dies. Because Shimizu Hinako, the character you play as for about 2/3 of the game, is perpetually trapped in that foggy, childlike version of Silent Hill that's from her childhood. That's why it's made. That's why this version of Silent Hill is made out of things that she knows. It's made out of her house, her friends' houses, the places they used to hang out, like Chizuruya, the back alleys that they used to sneak and run through. It's all made, like, if you think of something that's like, if you think of AI, and how AI has to pull from a pool of things in order to create whatever it creates, so to speak. Hinako's version of Ibisagoka, the fog version of Ibisagoka, is entirely cobbled out of Hinako and her memories. Everything you see and experience and run into is cobbled out of her memories. So, effectively killing off Shimizu Hinako is killing off her childhood innocence, her childhood self, and the world that comes along with it. Which is why, after Shimizu Hinako dies, and Fox Hinako, whom we know becomes the Fog Monster, aka Bride Hinako, and we're about to see that transition happen right now.
Fine feathers make fine birds.
That's a really cute double entendre. For anyone who doesn't know, Hinako is actually Japanese for baby bird or little bird. Very symbolic name. But yeah, so when you see this transition, Fox Hinako is basically adolescent adult Hinako before she becomes Hinako. Again, I don't know what the last name is. I know Kota Yuki's first name. His last name might be Tsunari. At least from what I can glean from the letter from a, not that, oh, certificate of full payment. Oh, yeah, 'cause you sold your daughter. No, it's this. My face hurts. Sorry. Letter from no, strict mother's letter. Here we go. Tsuneki. Kotoyuki Tsuneki. So, even though the game never explicitly says it, I'm assuming the third Hinako, whom we know as the Fog Monster, is literally just Tsuneki Hinako. You know, after she's given up her family's maiden name and thus her childhood self and become this new adolescent self, she becomes Tsuneki Hinako. That's got to be his last name. That's his real last name. His first name is Kotoyuki. So as far as discarding the self goes, hi. You say that would explain why she's so complacent with the fox but always stoic around the boys and the girls. I think there's something really funny going on there, actually. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say she's complacent with the fox. I think Foxmask treats her in a way that she's not used to being treated. And I think that intrigues something in her, and she doesn't exactly know how to process or react to it. It's not like, and that's like one of the funny juxtapositions, I think, in Hinako's character. You know, she doesn't like girly things. She doesn't play up her femininity a great deal. But at the same time, she still desires things like love. Maybe she even desires companionship. But it's something that she's not either willing to indulge or wants to indulge. Especially because she has Shu around as her, like, best friend, boyfriend, not boyfriend. You know, with Shu around as her lifelong partner, she never really has to think about things like romance or think about things like courtship, but that doesn't mean she doesn't want to. I feel like that's just the same kind of childhood fear and the same kind of childhood paranoias that everyone goes through, because, you know, as we play through these New Game Pluses and her journal gets more and more broad in context and we start to understand what Silent Hill Hef's story is really about, there's a page that I feel really feeds into this. It might be on Shu's page. I'll show you in a second. But yeah, you see, like, this page has double meanings in it, because she says, like, oh, well, you know, Shu was different. He was the only one who ever understood me. We were perfect partners, and I considered him a true companion. She considers him a companion. Maybe not a romantic partner, but a companion. And I don't think she realizes the depth of that emotion. Because when you look into Shu's later chapters, and especially if you've seen the second ending, where you purify the sword, something becomes very obvious. And it's that Shu obviously has feelings for Hinako. But he still treats her like any other friend he has, like a male best friend. He treats her like anybody. He doesn't treat her like a girl. He doesn't treat her like, or a girl that he's interested in. Even though he clearly is interested in her. He just doesn't want to admit it. He doesn't want to break the friendship. It's a very childlike thought to have. He doesn't want to break the friendship, so he remains her partner, even though he clearly likes her, really likes her. And I feel like Hinako has the same anxiety, which is why this page opens up so much in terms of how you interpret their relationship. So she says, we've always had this unspoken rule that we shouldn't view each other as boys and girls. So we've always called each other partner growing up. But with time, our bodies slowly developed into that which we rejected. Literally, like, we were able to ignore the fact that we were the opposite sex and romantically compatible until we just couldn't anymore. Like, I got boobs, you got really tall and handsome, you know, like, things like, time passed regardless of what we wanted for each other. And she says it right here. She's like, if I start viewing Shu as the man he's growing into, I fear like our precious relationship will come to an end. And the thought of losing him absolutely petrifies me. Shu is probably also starting to have the same thoughts as me, but he still treats me as his partner. And here's the clincher, and you can almost see this sometimes. You can almost see this in cutscenes. She's like, I swear I'm going to stay by Shu's side as his partner, and not in a romantic way either, but at the same time, there's some strange part of me that wants him to acknowledge me as a girl. Inadvertently, and even though we all know here that it doesn't actually exist, they have essentially stuck each other in the friend zone, which I'm sure was very frustrating, not only for them, but, you know, I mean, you know, she pissed, like, with arguably good reason, but she mad. You know, you got two people that are basically boyfriend and girlfriend who don't want to make it official, blowing off everybody around them until life literally intervenes and splits them apart. You know, and I get it, you know, the way she views adulthood and courtship and marriage and relationships between men and women is very warped because of the way she views her relationship between her mother and her father, and the way she views her Junko, and how she transformed as soon as she became married. And I mean, that transformation seems really shallow at first, but then you realize other little things about what she says about her transformation, like when she came to her and saw her in labor and didn't recognize her and thought, oh my god, this is what happens to women when they become pregnant. They turn into unrecognizable demons. It's like, yeah, I guess. But no. But, you know, I can see why she wouldn't want to make that step, but life intervenes regardless, you know. And almost in a way, Shimizu Hinako being trapped in this fog version of Abyss Golga kind of highlights that. Like, this is what happens if you don't let go. Are you just going to live this in a loop, the same loop? You're all just going to be 13 forever. You're never going to move on with your lives. You're never going to progress past this point. I mean, you have to. Which is why she essentially has to die. She has to die. But there's enough about that. Because we've just spent a long time explaining why, unfortunately, Shizumu. Let me say this right. Shimizu Hinako. There's a reason Shimizu Hinako has to die. Because Shimizu Hinako's ultimate destiny is to become Tsuneki Hinako.
Such a feeble bride.
That's messed up, by the way, too. I mean, there's enough that Hinako is dealing with psychologically and physically and emotionally, but then on top of that, you've got these weird societal pressures coming in from every corner, and these really fucked up comments about, like, her upbringing and how poor she is compared to her husband, and how marrying him is going to elevate her from the garbage that she and her family are. It's really messed up. Again,
Welcome. May you find peace in the days ahead.
Again, as if to imply that she did not have peace before marrying this goon. It's really sad. Like it's kind of sad in a weird way, but you can see that this game in its entirety is a weird psychological trap. Like, she's really trying to rebel against the inevitable, and the battleground is unfortunately her fucking brain. You know, I get it. I especially get her and Shu. I think I very much had a relationship like that in high school, where I had a best friend that I really liked, and she really liked me, and we were so inseparable. And everyone thought we were dating anyway, even though we weren't. And despite the fact that everyone wanted us to take this plunge, we never really did, because we didn't want to blow everything up, kind of. You know? Like, what Shu and Hinako are going through, I get it. I get it. And I get it because I've been there. And her anxieties aren't wrong, because, you know, me and that girl did end up dating. And it wasn't weird, but the relationship itself was weird, if that makes sense. I can see the onus to want to leave things the way they are. Things like that can be very scary. Even this life she's embarking upon is terrifying and new and frightening, but, you know, to take something as spiritual as, you know, simply letting go of old attachments, and growing and maturing and leaving the past behind, to take it and make it something so literal and so visceral and barbaric, like literally killing these people in her mind, killing her relationship, just so... It's an inspired choice. She seems to be afraid of a normal life, kind of like, you know, I think so. I think, yeah, but I think she's more afraid of a life that she doesn't have any agency in. You know, as someone who's been told how to act, how to breathe, how to walk, how to be, the thought of completely submitting is horrifying to her. I mean, it literally, in her mind, is her becoming a faceless abomination. The running theme of her being faceless and voiceless and, you know, happy to be led is not lost on me there. Again, how else are you supposed to feel, you know, when you are essentially being sold your romance? You know, she may not know the Fox Mask as well as she knows Shu. She may not know Kotayuki as well as she knows Shu, but Kotayuki treats her very differently. And it's something she's just not used to. Oddly beautiful transformation. But yeah, this just beautiful Japanese bridal gown and just horrific wolf arm and faceless bride. Like, this is the full transformation. See? Shimizu Hinako is gone, and all that is left is...
Now say your farewells. I sincerely hope you find happiness. Truly.
It's so funny realizing that Hinako was the father. Because what other function could she serve in this world other than to be its destruction? Again, the world that Shimizu Hinako occupies can't exist. So it totally makes sense that her adult self is the one tearing it apart and turning it into something else. You know, one thing I noticed in this part of the game, I thought this was so weird the first time I played it, and then I realized something key. It didn't really hit me the first time. But this is essentially her maturation. The town has been completely taken over and overrun. The flowers have bloomed everywhere. Do you notice that the fog is no longer there? It didn't hit me until I got all the way back to Hinako's house and walked up the hill. But the fog is gone. And the sun is pouring in. Almost as if it's a brand new day. Spiritually. You know, for her. It's a brand new day. All of her childhood anxieties and fears have been buried in this. Oh, I didn't talk to the doll. Well, we already know, but the doll just has like a bunch of platitudes about letting things go. We'll read the other two. That was my point. This game could have really used the Omamori loadout, but you know that sounds easy. Omamori loadouts would just be a really nice quality of life thing. You know, just because I've just got all these. I've just got all of these weapon durability Omamoris that I need to swap out every time I turn back into Fox Hinako. And truth be told, I'm often not, I keep forgetting which ones I have on. You know, they're all so good. Can always use more focus. How about we do the, there it is. Sure, more sanity. Or why not, perfect dodges are easier to perform? This stack one is so good, but I don't have confidence in my ability to do that many counters consistently. Maybe we could try it. I love surprising
Get in my way.
Coming of age seems like a common trope in Japanese media. I hear it's because even more than us in the West, they feel it. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would be inclined to agree, yeah. it's so funny. So not wanting to leave that part of you is kind of not wanting to grow. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because as far as a theme, a lot of the characters in the game experience this at some point. Hinako doesn't want to become Hinako doesn't want to grow up because for her, at the moment in time when you start the game, for her, growing up having just learned that she's been sold on a dowry to Kotoyuki's family and that everything she knows is essentially over, like for her, growing up is literally like dying, like committing suicide. Like when you're on your first playthrough of Silent Hill F, I think I and many other people thought that she was literally dead, like she was a ghost, like she was a dead person. Like we thought. I came up with so many theories to the effect of Hinako having died in some weird accident and she's roaming the town on some unfinished blah, 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 whatever. No, as it turns out, it's a metaphor for spiritual and emotional and societal death. Like dead as in she's dead to me, dead as in the old you is over and a new you emerges. Like just that alone is like, yeah, for her growing up is death. For Shu, growing up is losing his partner, that he doesn't have the spine to ask out on a real date, but still wants to have all the. But yeah, for Rinko, growing up is finally getting Hinako out of the way and maybe creating a future with Shu. Honestly. Oh, and even Kodayuki, to a degree does not have, at least I feel, doesn't have the freedom he thinks he does, or at least it shows that men are trapped in this cycle just as much as women are, maybe with not as much agency. I mean, sure, patriarchy and all, but even Kodayuki is a slave to this system in his own way, because through the notes from his mother, she's like beating him with it, like, you're of noble blood, you can't play, you gotta work hard, choose your friends wisely, you're going to be great, you're going to be rich, you are born of nobility, you're going to have everything you want because you are who you are, and all you have to do is work hard. Trust me, you'll get anything you want as long as you work hard now. You're entitled to it. Like to even program a young man, like, I feel like that's just as damaging as programming a young woman with the idea of your worth to this family is your worth is the family you eventually marry into and bring that prestige and wealth back to our family. That's just as toxic to program into a young man, like, oh, you are destined for greatness, you are destined to rule, you must find your concubine and and rule this family. Like, even for Kotoyuki, you can see the confusion and you can see the timbre of his notes change as they change from a kid that's like, hey man, Hinako was cool, man, I really remember her and she was awesome, to, oh, I want her and I'm gonna keep working so that I eventually get to a point where I can buy her from her family and she'll be all mine. Like, there's literally a letter that I'm paraphrasing here, but Kodayuki says as much in one of his letters, like, she's gonna be mine. And that's just kind of weird. It's just a little concerning. That's crazy. A silly metaphor is when you realize you don't get to be a kid who plays Dragon Ball all day anymore. Life moves on. It does, man. It does. It does. And it's so funny. Like you know, you look in Hinako's room, and you see it. Like her bookshelves are filled with, you know, their bookshelves are filled with mangas instead of textbooks, and fun, whimsical graphic novels and things. There's such a need to hang on to this. To see it destroyed like this by something innocuous and as beautiful as a flower is very interesting. And again, the fog is gone. The light is pouring in. It didn't hit me until, like, I think the second playthrough. It didn't really hit me just how the time of day that the city now exists in is part of the maturation, part of the evolution. I was kind of meta about it. I thought, oh yeah, the game's ending, so, you know. But no, I mean, again, like the visual. Man, look at Chizuruya. Chizuruya is cooked, man. Look, it's our favorite store that we used to hang out at as kids. Chizuruya is so cooked. Alright. I'm headed back home. If I can find him. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wish the titles weren't so obtuse. But oh, here we go actually. Okay, so check these out. So we have Letter from an Infatuated Youth and a Diary of an Infatuated Boy. And the determination and the infatuation play hand in hand. One of them, I think the the infatuation speaks more to the innocence of youth, that I think. The determined is a little bit more mature and direct. So like, yeah, like check this out. So like when he's like, so get this. Peep the diary of an infatuated boy, right? He goes, I'm embarrassed that I was rescued by a girl, but I can't forget her face. She's all I think about. I can't even focus. The one thing I do know is that I can't tell my mom about this. Cool. He's got a crush. He's like, I wonder if I can run into her again if I hang around outside. Her name is He. If I ever find her, I want to call her name and see her turn my way. Cute. And then I want Hinako. I need her. I need her. All caps. I want to hold her in my arms. I'll make her my wife so she'll be mine forever and ever. He's still a boy writing this. I'll be able to do anything I want when I'm heir. That's what my mother said. If I become the heir, then I can make Hinako my wife. It's kind of toxic. I mean, again, it's really interesting to me that they balance the tender feelings with the things he's been told by his mother as to what his role is in society and what he's actually capable of. You know, she's like, Mom says I can do whatever I want when I'm older. But I want to play with tops. I want to eat senbei. He wants to play Space Wars. But he can't. And he's just biding his time. But then again, here we go. So he's infatuated, right? He wants Hinako. If he becomes heir, he can make her his wife. Here, if he works hard, he can become heir and get anything he wants. Anything he wants. This is weird. This is it's a lot. I don't even want to read it because I don't even want to say Hinako that much. But there's a lot of Hinakos in this one page. There's a day that goes by that I don't think of you. How much more beautiful have you become? You're taking over all my thoughts. Wow, you're weird. I remember what it's like to have a crush. But like, whenever I close my eyes, all I see is you. I'm doubting my own sanity. This is like Silent Hill U. And I mean like You, the television show. That's weird. So, again, it balances the emotion with the entitlement so much that even as a player, you're not sure what to make of Kodayuki. Like, is he evil? Is he good? He clearly likes and cares about her.